So let's talk about something that's probably a bigger threat to your home than you think. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's water damage. It's this silent invader that can cause an absolute mess behind your walls and under your floors before you even know it's there.
All right, let me ask you something. What do you think is the biggest, most expensive disaster your home could face? You're probably thinking fire, right? Or maybe a big storm. But the reality? It's often much quieter and a whole lot wetter.
And here's the crazy part. It's almost never this big, dramatic flood you see in the movies. Nope, a massive, wallet-draining problem usually starts with just one little drop.
All right, so let's get into it. How does this unseen threat actually show itself? Because, it's often super subtle.
So, when you see paint or wallpaper kind of bubbling up or peeling, it's so easy to just go, it's an old house. But that's one of the classic first signs that there's moisture trapped right behind that wall. And here's another one. Check out your baseboards. If the trim looks puffy or warped, or if it feels kind of soft, that's a huge red flag. Wood is basically a sponge, and that swelling means it's been soaking up water for a while. And then there's that smell. You know the one I'm talking about. That musty, damp odor you just can't track down. That is pretty much the signature scent of hidden moisture. It's been hanging out long enough to start growing some nasty stuff like mildew or even mold. So you've got peeling paint, swollen wood, a funky smell. What do they all have in common? Well, they're basically your house's distress signals. They're screaming, hey, there's water somewhere it's not supposed to be.
And look, every single home has its own unique set of risks. It could be your environment, right? Maybe you live somewhere with high humidity, or the soil around your house is this heavy clay that makes the foundation shift. Or it could be the house itself. We're talking aging pipes, old sewer lines that are just ticking time bombs. And sometimes it's just plain bad luck, like a washing machine hose deciding to burst out of nowhere.
Okay, so that's the slow, sneaky stuff. But what happens when a leak is not so subtle? Well, when you've got a lot of water all at once, a very, very serious clock starts ticking. Immediately.
I want you to burn this number into your brain. 48. 48 hours. That is all the time you have after a major water event before mold can really start to take root and grow in your home. It is an incredibly small window of time.
And this just shows you how fast the situation spirals out of control. We're talking minutes before water is soaking through your drywall. A few hours later, your beautiful wood floors are starting to warp and your insulation is completely saturated. And after a day or two, you're not just dealing with water anymore. You're dealing with a serious mold problem. So yeah, speed is everything.
Okay, so if the worst does happen, you can't just wing it. You need a solid game plan. Let's walk through what the pros do to stop this damage dead in its tracks. A real professional response isn't just chaos and fans. It's a very clear, systematic process, and it all breaks down into 3 key phases. Okay, phase 1, emergency extraction. This is all about getting the standing water out, and fast. We're talking industrial pumps. Phase 2 is structural drying. This is where they bring in the heavy-duty dehumidifiers and air movers to literally pull the moisture out of the very bones of your house. And finally, phase 3, restoration and reconstruction. This is where they fix or replace everything that got damaged, drywall, floors, paint, to get your home back to the way it was before. And that drying phase, it's not just about pointing a bunch of fans at a wet spot and hoping for the best. There is a ton of science that goes into doing it right to make sure you don't have problems down the road. So get this, the pros use a science called psychrometrics. It sounds complicated, but it's basically the study of how air and moisture interact. They use it to manipulate the temperature and humidity just right, creating the perfect conditions to scientifically prove that every single drop of moisture is gone.
But this brings up a really, really important question. Does it actually matter where the water came from? Is all water the same? And the answer is a huge, emphatic no.
This is absolutely crucial. See, water gets classified into 3 different categories, and it's all based on how contaminated it is. You've got Category 1, which is clean water, say, from a broken supply line. Then there's Category 2, or gray water. Think discharge from a dishwasher. It's got some gunk in it. And then you have Category 3, black water. This is the bad stuff. We're talking sewage, floodwater. It's grossly contaminated and a serious health hazard. All right, so let's bring this all back home. We know what the enemy looks like, so how can you be your home's first line of defense?
Honestly, it all comes down to just being vigilant. You got to keep an eye out for those warning signs we talked about earlier, that musty smell, the warped floors, the peeling paint. Oh, and here's a pro tip for you. If you suddenly see your water bill spike for no reason, that is a classic sign you've got a hidden leak somewhere.
At the end of the day, you just have to remember this one simple truth. A burst pipe doesn't care if it's 3 in the morning on a holiday weekend. Water doesn't wait for business hours.
And that really leaves us with the one question that matters most. Knowing how fast this all happens, knowing the kind of destruction it can cause, are you actually prepared to act when it strikes?